how do I make this short and sweet? Okay, so let's start with Happy New Year. And I really wish you everything that you are wishing for yourself. So some changes will happen on my basically channel. So make sure that you're subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, then you see this like thing in the right kind of like corner, bottom corner, just click on it, because you'll be getting some series and some invitations that other people won't have an access to. They're not going to be posted like publicly. And you know, also, if you haven't already, join me on my mailing list. The link to it is my description, because that is specifically important for those of you who really want to take advantage of private readings, or who even want to take advantage of Reiki and all of these other add-ons that I actually send to my subscribers. And before we move right into the action, let me just ask you to support the channel. They're like already made, they're already out. There is $29.95, I believe, for one sign, and $59.95 for all. So you just have to go with www.cattarot.ca/annual, and basically the rest of it is history. It's going to be the order, and you get it from me as soon as I see it in my mailbox. I send that reading to you. So that really supports the channel, and this particular year I'm going to be helping lots of animals who actually cannot fend for themselves. I'm talking about all the strays all over the world that, you know, really need that really loving touch, and I really hope you can help me in actually pushing that forward. You know, maybe it is just a drop in the ocean who really cares about a kitten, who knows where it is, somewhere in Turkey, somewhere in Siberia. But you know, it matters to that pretty kitty that actually the life, the leg, whatever is needed, an eye is being saved. So without much further ado, let's jump into the reading and see what January brings for us, because this year brings lots of changes, and hence if you order your Taroscope, you're going to know all about it. So let's start, my dear friends, and see where January takes us. Hello Taurus, and welcome to your January 2019 readings, and Happy New Year. Hope you had really some new resolutions that you kind of like placed down, and that you're kind of like ready to spread your wings. It looks really good. You're getting the Empress card. This is Venus, and Venus is ruling your sign as well. We are actually entering year number 3. Wink wink. I mean, I'm explaining in my annual readings, private annual readings, quite a bit about this energy. So there it is. The flavor of the month is energy of the 3, right? So that can actually really indicate creativity. It can indicate kind of like feeling motivated to do something different. But this also can indicate that you are sort of willing to acquire material wealth. There's possibility of marriage and growth, and also this usually means that you'll be rewarded for your past efforts, right? So this really talks about fulfillment and satisfaction. It's kind of like a lots of joy that you're going to have this particular month, right? So also sometimes this represents harvest, and I know especially if you're in the northern hemisphere, we are not in the harvest season, right? But that harvest simply can mean that it's excellent time to begin new projects, and because those projects will actually have really high potential for success. And then you're getting this Meadow card over here, right? Meadow, it's kind of like linked here with vulnerability. And isn't this something, and I don't know about you, to me really reminds me of my childhood. It reminds me kind of like being somewhere that is sort of like not manhandled, and simply just like running through it. Its beauty and its openness, and nothing is really landscape, not landscape. Nothing is really kind of projected. You yellow flowers here, purple flowers here. It's just like simply it's that kind of like natural symphony over here. I feel with this combination that you are in a place right now where you can take risks with your feelings, and even what is more important, I guess, to take risks with the truth of who you are.
something that you really know in your heart and in your soul. You no longer kind of like need to be told or subjected to conditioned fears, and you know, you're not afraid of letting people, hey, this is who I am, I can actually do this and I cannot do this, right? So sure enough, you might feel that others somehow evaluate you and criticize you, judge you. Maybe they are even kind of like putting you down. But these are kind of like real kind of like possibilities over here that you'll be dealing with that kind of stuff. And guess what? Just like, I mean, stretch your arms, spin, kind of like make kind of like somersaults. This is kind of like a time to really kind of like move that cyclone, that energy inside of you. So rather than responding to people who might kind of like have this negative influence, right? Allow yourself to be more, I guess, vulnerable. You know, sometimes holding yourself back from expressing this truth, sometimes it does create illusion of safety and illusion of control. But when you arm yourself with your trust and with your faith, then you actually choose to be vulnerable, and then you're able to share sort of like something that is very authentic in you, to kind of like to share it with the world. So obviously we have lots of feminine principles over here. However, the rune of ideas, Eoch, came reversed. So this rune is basically showing two horses, kind of like that work as a team. And this is like one of those lessons in life, right? The two of us can do like way more than each of us can do individually. So sort of like 1 + 1 is 3. So when this kind of reverses, that obviously connection is not there. Maybe, you know, you are not on the same page with somebody. This is still telling you, you need to express that. You don't kind of like shouldn't go head on attack. It's kind of, even if you're a guy, being vulnerable, being able to say, oh my goodness, when somebody criticizes you, and let's say you feel the same way, you can say, oh my gosh, I'm so sad to hear that. I always worked on this, or I just like hate that people see me this way. You know, it is like something that can disarm. It doesn't have to. Some people are just like, I mean, take the ball and kick it all the time they want. We live in a really strange times. But this can actually also talk something very simple. It could be maybe transportation problems. So be very careful if you're traveling, or kind of like it mean that sort of like you're a little bit out of step with those about you. So you might be vulnerable, they might not be able to understand, but just keep kind of like committing to a course of action, right? So be actually careful, be commit, like, so should I tell you to commit or not commit? Because you might misjudge your partner. You might realize this new, let's say, powers. Generally, Taurus being a fixed sign, being strong sign, being powerful sign, your card coming through it together with femininity. You didn't get Hierophant, you got the Empress. So it's the Venus aspect that is really going to play the beauty, and something maybe physically that you don't feel completely confident about you. There's like something that you really wanted to attend to. It feels about money accumulation, and it talks about recognition and rewards for your efforts, right? You're kind of like heading somewhere, you want something. This is a card of good fortune, so no matter what kind of like come in the way, maybe, you know, pets are the problem, or as I said, car is the problem, something of that kind can actually really come in a way for you this month. So it is really, really important to just pull in. Do not be reactive. Be more or less proactive. Sure, taking care that everything is pre-checked. This kind of like usually comes as a warning. But this is kind of like also the sign that this is not about ideas, because upright is the rune of ideas and right and efforts. But sort of like reversed is talking about just loosen up, just relax. You guys are really good at it. You have like this abundant energy, right? Being a second sign to Aries, like that, the energy is like really, really strong. And the first sign, Aries, is like sort of like kind of like that, almost like still wild animal. It's not so much sheep, it's like really the one ram in the nature. And the second one is like this big bull, and the stock market is being really represented with it, right? So I really think this is really the time that kind of like is going to allow you to cleanse yourself. Because when this card shows up, it really tells me that maybe you have been cautious with whom and how and what. It was like that sense of, I really cannot go out on the limb, right? Because you will be following your instincts and feelings, and it is clearly advising you that you should not be redirected by thought and action, right? So do not be disillusioned with delays, because this can actually really talk about delays. And kind of like, as I said, this kind of like also talks about abundance, and this is music to your ears, and that abundance will flow to your life with love, through beauty, through good health, and through domestic stability. So it's going to be feeling really good this time. So let me go to the second part, which is going to give you a little bit more information, and then I'll be going to the third part, which I actually designed a spread over the holidays for relationship, and it's one same spread that actually can show everything: singles, people looking for it, also for the cross watchers, and also for the couples. So let me start shuffling cards for the second part. Well, very interesting, Taurus. You are actually getting the Wheel card, the Wheel of Fortune, which is one of the karma cards. And the other things that you have here is Four of Earth reversed, Demon Cat, the Devil reversed, Six of Cups reversed, Four of Swords reversed, and Eight of Swords reversed. It sounds to me, guys, that you have been in some kind of situation that was shifting all the time, and whenever you felt you were on the top, you just kind of like got your clarity, you got your kind of like perspective, poof, you're falling down, and things would just like shift and change. You know, it is kind of like something that maybe you're going through that is exhausting. Maybe you're thinking that you need to go through things yourself, only by yourself. You know, maybe this is the only thing that you know, that, you know, you just really always have been self-sufficient, always felt, you know, I have to rely upon myself. And while this is great, this is now a situation and a month where, you know, you really need to learn how to basically ask for help and how to express your emotion. The tendency is going to be to almost like be hard on yourself. When I see Four of Earth, look, the kitty here is having like this whole bunch of toys here in the background, and sure, they look nice and neatly organized and everything, but isn't this the point missed? You're supposed to play with those toys, not to kind of like keep them. So when this reverses, there is like this sense of you realizing that certain things that you were doing, the shakeup needs to happen. You need to shuffle certain things. You feel to some extent that you have been lost, because the Empress's expression of this beauty, and this in the upright position would be, oh, I can't kind of a thing. So yeah, I guess you're starting to say to yourself that you can. I'm seeing much gentler you emerging this particular month. This is also very good, just like this one, right? So taking your walls down, and now this demon cat is no longer a fierce kitty. This demon cat, and my black kitty is just sleeping behind me, is reversed. So this really means that some conditioning, some ideas that we had, something that has been destructive in our life, is now being reassessed. Something is not needed for us to be this defensive, right? So I think strong people really defend themselves through standing strong. This is why cats puffed up and hiss, so they make themselves bigger and stronger and more terrifying, right? Have you been doing that, Taurus? You kind of like really didn't want to show that maybe you're hurting. You really didn't want to show that, you know, well, it's not as rosy as I'm trying to show. It is a strong person, but don't you also need a soft place to fall? Because I really think this is realization that you're saying to yourself, so what's the point of living this life as a pentacle? As a pentacle, I kind of like, yes, I do want this money, I want this security. This is like really coming here clearly. But there are like some things, I mean, this card, vulnerability, really reminds me of that childlike kind of like feeling that you have running through that basically meadow, running through this grass, running through these flowers, and then plopping down and really, really enjoying it, right? So this as well here in the Six of Cups, we see the most unnatural scene, the kitty cats not only swimming, so they are not swimming because they, oh my gosh, somebody pushed them in. Like you can see, they're like actually really jumping here with joy. This is actually a party. And they do have their own kind of like, let's say, God over here. That is really talking about memory, of sweet memory, of doing maybe weird things and doing a little bit kind of tricky things. Maybe, you know, things that you are thinking usually over here are things from the past. Maybe you remember other people that you have been, you know, in touch with. It could be that somebody sent you a note via Facebook, or you sent somebody a note. Clearly, maybe also somebody from the past affected you to kind of like have this sturdy attitude. I'm the strong bull. I have to be strong, right? But this again is talking about this gentleness. It's again telling you that you need to get out of yourself and try different things. You owe yourself to try. And it's really, really hard for the strong people, you know, but strong people also need somebody that they can actually really lay their head on their shoulder. So if you don't ask, how would you get it? Do you really think that to other people this comes naturally? Because look at this. Some of you might decide, look, just leave me alone. I need to relax. I need to rest. This is again avoiding some problems. This is again trying to it's almost like that there are two buttons. One is strength, one is vulnerability. And you said, see this button? That's the red button. You touch it, it's a nuclear war kind of a thing, right? So you just keep pushing that strength. But the strength is actually each and every time, it's like the medication. You need more and more and more to function. And now you're on the last notch. In fact, you're really realizing, what's the point of this? If I was so strong, I was pushing it forward, you're like really kind of patting yourself on the shoulder that you did well. But look at this. There's like something that you're not able to see or not able to resolve. You know, here we have like this little Siamese putty cat kind of like caught here in those basically roots. And there's like huge panic. Oh my freaking God. The bats are coming, the birds are coming, they're going to pull my eyes out. And you can just imagine squirmy cat. I don't know if you guys ever had a Siamese cat, but they're much different than regular cats. First of all, they're very much dog-like. They would actually have dog's behavior, but they're so squirmy, like you have to take them to the vet. It takes like the village to actually give them a shot or a pill. I mean, I had several shower curtains shredded into spaghetti. It is just the way they are, right? So I can just imagine what's going on here. It will be like wiggling everywhere. But the point is, like, if you do that, you will actually injure yourself. This is not the way out of the situation. The way out of the situation is just exactly what, if you were thinking through properly instead of just avoiding. Sometimes avoidance of the problem, because it looks like that you really don't even want to think that there are different possibilities for you. And clearly they are. That's why you have here the wheel. I just really wanted to see the perspectives for you. The Eight of Sky talks about, look, why don't you think, relax. And again, it's a vulnerability. It's just like saying, I need help. Help, right? The solution here is to do slowly, not to kind of like twist and wiggle, because twisting and wiggling can harm you, and it will also attract predators. So I think this is kind of like judgment call over here. Generally really talks about some kind of like fears and issues that we have with other people. I clearly see there's like somebody here present in your life. Could be earth sign, could be fire sign, who kind of like really left a mark on you, who maybe kind of like push you out of your comfort zone, and for a little period of time you felt truly alive. You felt, oh my God, this feels great. But then something got in the way, that either, you know, some promises were not fulfilled, or you were expecting more and didn't happen, and you started to erect the walls, and you started to protect yourself, right? That's what we do. Now it's time to actually drop these walls down. Now it's time to really it's kind of like really funny. You need to talk yourself through taking those walls down. They became almost like an extension of you, and that's protection of you, of being hurt, and of kind of like really reaching in that space that can actually be painful. But big changes are happening. Big changes are coming for you this month. It's going to be really interesting. So let me clarify a few things. I actually shuffled those cards as well. Let's see this demon cat. You have cheerfulness, and then you have home reversed. So again, this is like usually that what this card describes. You usually see in a typical card, well, just even with this one, somebody's like so happy they're bringing the bird home, and like we freak out when we see that. So it's just exactly like that. Some things, you know, could be appropriate in the moment for within your tribe, but maybe they're not appropriate in a general way. This card also, and this is like what I see here in the combination, could talk about either exes, interference, or they can also talk about there's a third party going on. The third party is in the house, and somebody had too much fun, right? And I'm really wondering if you're even aware of that. And maybe you're like fighting for someone. Maybe you're wooing for somebody attention. Maybe this is a matter of choosing you, but you really have to ask yourself if this is really a good plan, right? This does say big changes are happening, but they're happening in a really good way. They're happening sort of in a way that things do move forward. Sure, it's cyclical. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down. Things are going to fall, but they're going to rise again. So it's really interesting to have that acknowledgement. So I want to see this one, Eight of Sky, as well. And there's Melody and there is Lord. So there we go. Here, this card usually, I think of it is a depression. There's somebody who needs a hot tea, and this again, it's really close to that rest and that willingness to kind of like be left alone, right? So this card here is, again, you need to recuperate. Maybe some of you are going to have a flu or some kind of like sort. And we have the Lord card. Lord to me in this particular deck always shows someone who kind of like might be caught in a relationship. So maybe this card simply means that you got caught in something that you actually don't know how to get yourself out. It is really difficult. There are like second thoughts that you have, and that's why you're saying sometimes it's just like tomorrow is another day, Scarlet, kind of a thing. It could be revolving around somebody. It could be revolving how to deal and how to push things forward. But one thing is for sure, which I really liked, you're putting yourself in a kind of like a really prominent place. You're really not allowing things to kind of like run amok, because you almost like looks like that something was really, really hard, and even this recuperation would mean kind of like going into that soft place, kind of like recovering. So the entire month will be about kind of like resolving certain things in your head and giving yourself permission to move forward. So let's see, what else do I have? 19, 25, 29. What is this? 29 and 8, 37. So yeah, 47. There it is. It's that master energy of 11, and 11 is the healing energy. So it clearly tells me healing is important over here, and that can be both physical and emotional healing. So make sure that you are actually doing the right thing for that. If you're doing the physical healing, take your vitamins for prevention, right? Do the right thing, breathe, sleep enough. But I really think the bigger thing is here emotional healing. And part of that is relaxation. Part of that is really being who you are. And I really think, hello, baby. Hello. What? What's it, baby? What's it, baby? Do you love Taurus? How much? How much? Really that much? So part of the healing, guys, there you go. You have the special blessing again. So is to really realize kind of like that you can have productive relationships. Just because maybe you had series of people who were harmful, who were not there for you, it doesn't mean that everybody's like that. You just maybe have to reshuffle the plan. Which brings me to the third part, which some of you are asking about relationships, but just let me give you a little bit more about, let's say, work and career. You might feel that somebody's pulling the strings. Some of you might have a boss who is kind of like has very charismatic ability, and you are kind of like really feeling that I am one of the kind of like boys and one of the girls, but it cannot be further from the truth. This person would be really difficult to work for, because it looks like you will be getting an assignment, you would not get support that you need, you would not get guidance that you need, you would not get coaching that you need, but you will be the one being held responsible. So be very careful before accepting that responsibility, because there's like somebody clearly here that you cannot really fully trust and you think that you can. So let's go into the third part, which is going to be really that spread that I was telling you about relationships. So whether or not you're Taurus, but mainly this is for Taurus or cross watching, this will cover all. So let's do this. All right, so Taurus for 2019, January 2019 for Taurus. Okay, January 2019 for Taurus. Okay, January 2019 for Taurus. Okay, so let me lay the cards down. Oh, that's really interesting. You see, there's like somebody over here that I see who was in your life because they owe you something from the past lives, and it was like something that really needed to end, and you're trying to explain to yourself, but that's pretty much what was like destined. And that 10 of the wheel card is like really the destiny card. It's like really not much that I can say here. Things are just like supposed to move forward. So let's see kind of you guys, Taurus. You have like this 8 of Pentacles. This is again about diligence. This is again looking at the fine details. This is again about, you know, improvement, and things are going to look up and be better. There's like something you're doing. You might be doing renovations. You might be kind of thinking about the future and thinking about what comes next, right? It's giving yourself this chance. It could mean learning new skill. It could mean improving on a certain skill, or even mentoring somebody. So hence, as I said, be very careful if this comes to work, because somebody just like really wants to have a dumping ground, right? So singles. Whoa. Holy moly, you have the same card, 4 of Cups. Remember the kitty with the toys? We have here repetition. You guys, hey, you have to decide what you want. You want love. I can see the singles want love, but hey, you know what? I just can't give so much, because you're actually really happy where you are. But this is clearly telling you somebody might be coming into your life, and that someone can be really your soulmate. So it is really up to you. Are you going to share these toys with somebody else and decide to kind of like really take those walls down and let this person in? Or you will keep waiting. You might be happy, but you can be much, much happier. And I really think that's sort of the key over here that needs to be addressed. Now, let's talk about, and this is all about the choices. I think you're really afraid of making a wrong choice. I feel you have been hurt in the past, and you're like right now saying, I just don't need this trouble. I just don't want to do this. I don't want to do this, right? Kind of a thing. You're holding onto your pentacle. Maybe somebody even abused you financially, and it's very difficult for you to make that step forward. So guess what? You'll have to stop playing poker with sweaty palms, because everybody knows you have a losing hand, right? So let's see, cross watchers and your partner for you, Taurus. Yeah, they have Judgment card. That's yet another karma card. This really talks about them clearing their karma. It really talks about, at present, they kind of like having their own reckoning. At present, they are kind of like really dealing with issues, like things are coming to their mind from the past. If you're female, specifically if you're female, they actually do think that, oh my gosh, this one got away, kind of a thing. Whoa, look at this. That's the repetition of the karma card. Oh my gosh, you have like 2 majors. You see, this relationship that maybe you guys who are actually inquiring over here couldn't even work. This relationship was not supposed to work. It was supposed to about somebody gaining wisdom, and I really don't think they did. They are clearing some karma, but there is like this lighthouse that sort of like is getting extinguished over here. But then there is like this wheel of fortune. It is something that keeps pushing them forward. They are almost like called in the next karmic lesson. So it's almost like you're writing a test, right? You might even know all the answers, but you don't have the time to do that. So this is how it looks like something was. I need and I want in this life. So you have to check my karma readings, guys, because I can tell you what's going on. And sometimes like people take too much of their sweet time to do it. You know, you can see people in back and forth relationship instead of moving forward and getting more out of it. And it sounds like this person really wanting quickly to move forward. And I also see like very strong Sagittarius, Virgo, and Scorpio over here as well appearing, right? So let's see those of you in couples and relationships. Wow, you have the Fool, you have Page of Pentacles, and there it is, 8 of Swords, the Kitty reappearing over here. There is like something that has been happening in your family life, in your relationship life, that made you feel we need to kind of like refresh certain things. We need to kind of like be more positive. We need to hope for the best, right? You might have problems with children. You might have problems with certain things, kind of like things getting in the way, you know, not really moving the way it should be, because you were supposed to learn the lesson, and that's usually when it happens. The kind of like experience keep repeating. We're getting more and more annoyed, and it's just like instead of like experiences, we are just like remembering this like feeling, right? So this is the month that actually makes it different, right? This is the month that you might even get the somebody from the past reappearing, and not necessarily so much for the married people as much for the singles. But it could be like, look, you were the one and I made that error. So this card here is reversed, right? So at this stage, when it's reversed, the Kitty did go and think through that strategy. And yes, this is kind of like meaning going very slow. Did I not say it? You need to kind of like really work through methodically, right? So let me see what's going on, and this is what I need to do, because the Fool always talks about a new beginning, a fresh start. So maybe there's like something, hopefully secretly hoping, well, it's a new year, a new start. And guess what? You were right. You were right, because it looks like there's like new start on so many levels. I can totally see it over here for absolutely every level over here. So let's see this general feelings over here, general opinion over here, and we have the 3rd karma card. So we have 3. Wow. So we have the Tarot card. There like something was going on, and again, it is like you guys being stubborn. You have been just so stubborn that you just couldn't let go of this, right? I want, and million and one things that actually would be better are not considered because you kind of like really focused on one thing. usually when Tower comes reversed, it really tells me you're not even realizing, you just cannot possibly comprehend how much harm you're bringing to yourself. It is about some vision of moving forward, and I can see this on every level. Here, singles are a little bit stronger than the others because they're kind of like trying to keep their strength right in check, trying to kind of like keep those breathers, and very, very kind of like minimalistically letting other people in your life. It's just like on a little teaspoon, not kind of like the full meal kind of a thing. But this is really promising. It's saying, look, there is like time to cut through everything. That's why this is a karma card. It is like time and space for everything. And you know, right here and right now, I'm not going to feel the way I was feeling for such a long time, because the way I was feeling, it didn't make me feel good. It didn't make me feel, you know, enthused. And it is really time right now to push myself in something new. So maybe this month is going to be a lots of self-questioning, but at the same time self-appreciating. So you'll be seeing these two sides of that same equation. Open yourself, guys, to possibilities. I mean, I can see it everywhere. You need to remove the blindfold. You need to be able to see that. You need to apply some kind of strategy, and some of the strategies are going to be less with bullying and more with vulnerability. Something like saying, oh, I'm tired. You guys would prefer to die than to say something like that, right? So this is this time that is going to be so beneficial for you. Your card is here to protect you, and this card is like so powerful because we are in the year number 3. So things really need to move forward and will move forward. So as I said, caveat, transportation, caveat about, you know, jumping too fast into things. But also I do have to say that certain things are revolving behind the scenes that could really affect you. So be ready. And those surprises can be really good surprises. But you might be so shocked with good surprises that you might react negatively, and then, you know, people will feel, you know, that they have to walk away. So such as somebody calls you, surprise you, and you really didn't think they will ever hear from them, and it's kind of like, hey, you know, I deleted your number kind of a thing, and this person vanishes forever, and you're going, why did I do that kind of a thing? So do not jump, do not get startled. If you feel that you're stuck, just maybe take some time off, pierce yourself, and sure, beautiful things and events and nourishment, all of that is going to be really helpful for you this month. So my dear Taurus, this is January. I mean, another readings are coming up soon. I hope you enjoy that. If this resonated with you, I mean, this is general reading, so not everything will. Please subscribe, and I would love to hear your comments. Also, please support this channel and order your annual Taroscope, which is about 1.5, some of them even close to 2 hours long, which kind of goes into really details for entire year and all the months. So kind of like it's highlighting very, very important factors. And if you want a reading with me, you know where to find me, cattarot.ca, and down in the description it's everything about this music, and you know how to find me. And if you guys want your daily dose of, you know, tarot, find me out on Instagram, or find me out on Facebook, and we can go from there. Thank you so much, I guess, being here, and have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful new year. All the best.